welcome and thank you for tuning in to the Believe in Yourself podcast. I'm your host, Mr. Believe, better known as Kev B. man. And if you yourself are interested in creating your own podcast, let me show you how to do it, man. Let me give you some great advice. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. I only need two things real quick. Listen in close. Number one, it's free. That should say it all right there. But if that's not enough, number two, you can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. That means you can start making money from day one on your podcast and start putting that money to good use. So, let me give you the information. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. That's ANCHOR.FM to get started today. And I want to hear your podcast. Peace. On today's interview, I'm going to be sitting down with Mr. Alex Blucher, an up-and-coming budding entrepreneur in the real estate realm. He's going to tell us a little bit more about his story and going from working to becoming a full-time entrepreneur. Tune in. Hey, it's Mr. Believe, and I want to tell you about Unique African Boutique. It is a beautiful collection of authentic clothing, jewelry, accessories, and art that are made with the highest quality from artisans in Africa. What you get from Unique African Boutique, you can't get from anywhere else. Our entire collection is made up of one-of-a-kind pieces that promote the culture, music, and lifestyle of Africa, with care for the artisans and their families and their livelihood. Shop Unique African Boutique today at shopuniqueafricanboutique.com. Welcome to the Believe in Yourself podcast on yourviberadio.com. That's right, we're on yourviberadio.com. You can catch us here each and every Wednesday at 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. And if you guys, if you've been following me for the past few weeks, usually you should just have to type a question in the question box, but you could actually get your voice heard on the radio. And you can dial in at 305-454-1531 if you have any questions for our guest. Now, those of you who've been paying attention, we have a community club that we have started. And if you want to join the community, you just need to text BIY to 31996. That's BIY to 31996. You can also listen to the Believe in Yourself podcast if you are unable to catch us live and you want to hear the playbacks of some of your favorite episodes. You can catch us on Google, Anchor Podcasts, and Spotify, and many more other of your podcasting stations. And now today we have a special guest in the studio.
Good evening. Who's that special guest?
We have a very special guest, man. A guy I've known for, almost over 10 years now, man.
Yeah, definitely.
He went to school to my alma mater, Chaminade Madonna.
What year you graduated there?
2001.
Facts. That's what's up.
What year were you?
06. Class of 06.
Okay. Yeah. Definitely. Dope. He went to school with my younger brother and sister, so y'all, alma mater, doing that. And Alex is actually the person who introduced me to Your Vibe radio station. So that just right there shows you the power of community.
Yeah.
If you didn't know it, man, that's community right there. I've been doing my podcast for a couple of months. I'm just on IG trying to do my thing. And just out of the blue, he calls me one day and says, "Hey, Kev, I see you doing your thing, man.
Slide through.
Come check this out."
Yeah. Come through and check it out, bro.
And the rest is history, man. You guys are watching history in the making right here.
Yeah.
So, Al, man, let's tell the people a little bit about you and your background, what you got going on, man.
On yourvibesradio.com, people may know me as like DJ Phantom on here. I have my show here on Saturday, 5 p.m. to 7:30 on Saturdays. And outside of DJing, I am a real estate agent. So been an agent for 3 years. What do you call it? Besides that, married man. Hey, happily married. What else is missing? I went to 1 year in college in Mars Hill, North Carolina, so I had the experience of experiencing snow for the first time. And as Kev, it's funny, but it's true though. When you see snow for the first time, you want to say that part of the story. But when with Kev, went to Chaminade, class of 06, football player. A lot of people on Facebook may know me as a football player and things like that. Defensive back.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you said you went to North Carolina for school for 1 year. What was the reason that brought you back home?
That's a great question. I think it's more of that vision and leadership in the household because I had an older brother that went to FAMU. Shouts out to anybody that went to FAMU. And for me, doing 1 year in college, I think I was one of those that didn't see myself completing 4 years, honestly. I mean, I was there playing football, but just to say, am I going to make it there when I'm a senior? There was a lot of, other plans, I should say.
For me, I went to school in New Jersey for 2 years. What brought me home was the weather. I ain't going to lie. I hated that weather.
The cold weather or what?
Yeah, the cold weather. I'm a Florida boy to the bone. I cannot go anywhere where the weather is below 72 degrees a year.
Yeah.
I can't deal with it. But
how many degrees?
72.
It was below. Wait, but how cold was it in Jersey though?
Nah, sometimes you used to get on the regular, like every day, pretty much 60, 65. Like
wow.
That was too much for me.
Yeah.
I couldn't deal with that.
Facts. So, with me, why you mentioned the weather, but North Carolina, I experienced -1 degree. It was crazy.
-1. I can't deal with -1 degree. I can't deal with -1 degree. I'm sorry. But out here, we've been experiencing the total opposite. So how has your day been dealing with this sweltering heat, feeling like we've been living on a plantation these past few days?
Man, it's been very, very hot. I mean, I was just on my way over here, and like my nose started to sweat. I was like, interesting. I didn't even know that was possible. I know I was gaining weight, but wow, for my nose to sweat, really?
Your nose was starting to sweat? That's
yeah.
crazy. It is hot, you know what I'm saying? But when your nose starts sweating, that's when you know it's a problem outside.
Yeah.
I didn't even know your nose had sweat glands. But we'll leave that for another day. I think Alex got a problem.
Really? Oh, man.
So, man, besides that, something else that might have a few people out there nose are sweating is this climate of politically. When we're talking about what's going on with the pandemic, Corona.
Yeah. Correct.
And then the protests, George Floyd, and all this other stuff that's been going on, man. How have you been coping with those things going on? How has that affected you?
Well, definitely the coronavirus. At first, I was just like everybody else. I thought I was very skeptical and everything else. But little by little, and especially in the community, I'm more familiar with Miramar, Hollywood. It's definitely out there. So safety is very important. You just like in a position, don't take life for granted when it comes to the virus. It's like you want to stay protected, So, and you mentioned about the protests. It's really, it's sad. It's history. Unfortunately, it's history now. And not history like get over it, more history of like it's in the books that what is going on with the communication with police and the community. There's definitely have to be some kind of relationship there, some way, somehow, because definitely with that kind of action, it came off very like it's normal. That's very normal. And as with the protest is definitely pushing forward that this is not the norm. We are humans, and we should be able to respect each other, and definitely not tolerate that.
Yeah, definitely. I can agree with you on that sentiment. And as far as I just want to touch on the first part of that when you talked about the virus that's going on. I get it when people say you have to stay protected, and I honestly understand, and I hate sometimes talking about it because I think sometimes I come off as not empathetic to people who have suffered casualties due to what's been going on with Corona. But when I haven't looked recently, but when I did my own looking at the numbers, people have been passing away from similar viruses prior to Corona.
Correct.
We've been going through
Cancer.
different, not even just cancer,
Okay.
even just the common flu.
That is correct.
I mean, I remember years where people would tell me, "Oh man, that flu is going around. Be careful." Oh, you got that cough? Yeah, that flu's going around. I remember times they used to say that. Or you go to the workplace and 4 or 5 or 6 people caught the flu because one guy came in and coughed in office, and everybody's like, "Oh man, yeah, man, that's that flu Gary brought." That's the same thing that's going on now. And when you look at the death rate, it's less than 5%. So people were dying from the flu at a higher rate than they're doing with corona. So for me, it's like I understand why we should be more sanitary because I like it. Since the whole thing, I haven't really had no ailments or sicknesses, but I feel like we should have already been maybe a lot more sanitary. But as far as quarantining everybody and making us all wear masks and doing all this extra stuff, it just feels kind of over the top.
I think it's what you're saying is very debatable because my wife and I work at the hospital. So not to say we see what's going on day to day, but when something could spread heavily like that, unexpected, like you just having this 4th of July weekend this weekend, you're going to barbecue with some friends, no mask. You go home and spread what to the next person without knowing what was at that party. This is a national matter that at least the community was informed about a virus, because if there was bodies dropping, who to blame? How was this information was put out? The mask. I was just in that situation being debatable with some family and friends about the mask, but I really agree with what's taking place. It's safety first.
I mean, I like your take on it, and I don't disagree with it. But as far as for me, it's not for me. I would say. I would say that's cool for you. I understand it's because you work there, you're firsthand with it. But for me, just looking at the numbers, I could be wrong. And then from hearing all of these doctors coming out saying that the numbers are being inflated, and then to me, the numbers are not even as scary as a bad flu year.
Correct.
So if, like, what is the real reason? Like, we should have already been clean and sanitary. Maybe we should have already been staying 6 feet away from each other. I don't know. But wearing masks and all that stuff is kind of, I don't know. And then stopping people from going to work, like, that's kind of extra excessive.
Well, I'm going to share on this podcast. Because this is, the brand is believing yourself. So that means if I share something, that means I'm not going to get too much off topic, but it's in that kind of sense. But prior to this COVID, I was reading up on some information that there was a financial crisis on its way.
This is it.
With the virus on top.
This is it.
So it's like, you know, I've been preaching 1929 Great Depression on Facebook. I mean, I've been like, hey, the dollar may not be worth the dollar. I've been saying that. I'm not going to be calling myself a whistleblower. I just had a feeling it was coming, just wasn't sure when.
Yeah, that's why I always said I feel like it's more to this COVID. I feel like COVID is just something that they use to help, because it is it does spread rapidly, and it is a very contagious virus. But for them to be making this much hoopla is because they're trying to hide other things that they're doing that they don't want to get attention to. And that's what I feel.
That normally happens.
Not to spend too much time on that. But I do want to talk about a little bit about the George Floyd situation. Like what you said. I feel like it's more of a systemic issue. So I shared yesterday on the show with the guest that sometimes I feel like people are making it out as though, like, they say, you know, that was back in the days. You know, people are not that racist now. And to me, even if you are racist, it doesn't matter. Like, 'cause I feel like I'm racist to some degree, and if you are, as a white person or a Spanish person, I feel like that's good. I feel like it's healthy. There's healthy levels of racism. If you can be happy and proud of your race, because racism means that you are happy about who you are. You know, you love your race.
Correct.
So if you're happy and you're enthusiastic, you want to see other people like you win, you want to spend money with your people, I don't think there's nothing wrong with that. The problem is when people want to hurt somebody else because you're not like me. That's the bad form of it. But the real issue is a systemic racism with how the police are trained to handle people and how they are trained to police. Like, they definitely do not patrol Weston the same way they patrol the Pork and Beans. They're not going to be pulling people over and asking the type of questions that they ask somebody in that whatever Lexus or Bentley over there on Griffin Road west of 75 that they would ask somebody over there east of 95 off of 75th Street. They're not. And that's the real issue, that there's not no fairness in the way that this political system handles people of color. And I feel like that's the real issue. But I feel like it gets kind of clouded because they say Black Lives Matter, and, you know, the white people with the All Lives Matter, and they're getting mad, my life matters, and I'm not racist and that. I feel like they're missing the point. The real point is the rules that are in place that hold us back. Correct. That's the issue.
Correct.
So that's what we have to understand. At least that's what I want to make sure is conveyed. At least I want to say that on this show. Do you have anything else to add to that?
I mean, I think just the basic, if we took away the police in uniform and the guy that was being pulled over for money, whatever he did with $20, we're talking about two human beings. I think people have issues of communicating with each other and handling one each other, because you compared, you know, if you pulled over in West 75, I-75 in Griffin, or if you're in Pork and Beans in Miami somewhere, it is a difference of how to communicate with somebody. Being a police officer is tough. You know what I mean? Because you're dealing
that way.
you're dealing with multiple different people. I'm a share, so I guess we transition to the interview. Also, is that, you know, I was held at arm rob. I was arm robbed back in 2017. A lot of people may not know that, but that experience is like having a gun held at me. Is like, I would not wish that on my worst enemy. And I bring that up because now, how do I deal with it after the fact to communicate with another brother? Because I was held at gunpoint by a brother.
Yeah,
I could not look at other, you know, African American, blacks. I could not look at them as that same person that held a gun at me. I really had to come back to the reality that everybody is different. You know, if it was somebody that's trying to come up and he had dreadlocks or he's dark skinned, all power to him. So I think when it comes to the police department, it's like once they say, okay, we're looking for a black man, black T-shirt and black shorts. Well, this black man with a black T-shirt and black shorts is about to go play basketball, but he may be as a suspect and held at gunpoint.
Yeah.
Thank you for tuning in to the Believe in Yourself podcast. Now I'm your host, Kevin Akinbiyi, and I just want to say thank you to everyone who's been tuning into these episodes. And I pray, and my prayer is that everyone has been getting some type of inspiration, motivation, or even some tips and tricks of the trade that they can use in their everyday journey or lives into entrepreneurship, professionalism, or just downright living. Now, if you want some more from our guests on the show, we're eventually going to be partnering with them and bringing you some special discounted items later on. So if you love these guests and love the things that they have to offer and you would love to support and build the community, all you need to do is text BIY to 31996. That's BIY to 31996, and let's grow this community together. Peace.
So there is definitely, just piggybacking what you said, is definitely a way to how to communicate and handle the situation differently, because people can be caught at the wrong time. In our community, unfortunately, people could be caught at the wrong time from, you know, somebody that's trying to rob us or a police officer. So it's like, like you said, it does hold us back in a way, you know?
Yeah. I think all those is just, when you look at those things, I always like to look at the root. You know, those are, I feel like, are symptoms of the root cause of the systemic rules the systemic things that are in place. The reason why those that will have brothers robbing each other is because it's proximity. You're going to rob your neighbor because they're closer to you. You probably don't have a car to go to the good neighborhood, and you're hungry, so you're just trying to get some money from the corner store down the street. So you're going to rob the next person that walks down the street. Unfortunately, that's what happens. But because I myself has been on both sides of it. I've been in the point where I've been robbed at gunpoint. I was a lot younger. I was in middle school. It was me. My mom was there. Another woman, and we were there. And a guy walked past me. I remember he walked past me, looked me right in my eyes, kept going, and then right after pulled out the gun right at my mom. Dropped the purse. Boom, boom, boom. Took the purse, ran off. I was like, I don't know, probably like 11, 12. I was shook. I'm a kid, so that's the first time I seen a gun like that and all that. But so it can make you look at people a certain type of way. You might think, oh, every time you see a brother with a hoodie and his scully on, that he's up to no good because of something that you went through. But like you said, you can't. You know, everybody isn't that way. You know, the ones that are doing things like that, the reasons why is because they're in a situation where they feel like they have to be. And unfortunately, they feel like that because of, like what I said, the systemic racism, things that are in place. And also in the same neighborhood, on the same street, actually, when I was in high school, I got pulled over by some police because they thought I was driving one of those cars.
What type of car you?
I had a 95 Chevy Caprice.
Caprice in on 20s?
Nah, they didn't have 20s at that time. But they thought I was somebody else. And they wrote me up, man. I felt crazy. Yeah. They pulled out. They were ready to pull out. Had me get out the car and everything. It's a weird experience, man. But they wouldn't do that. I don't feel like they would do that. Maybe if driving that car, yeah, they probably would do that in West End. But it's the racial profiling, unfortunately. And the reason why is because of the way the system is set up. It forces people to have to make drastic decisions. That's why we have to change the system so we can give people better options, better things. If you can, a homeless man is not going to want to hear what you got to say to him about maybe getting a job or doing better until you give him something to eat. Because right now he's hungry.
That's true.
So the same thing goes for people in our community. They're not trying to hear all of this equal rights, black power. I need a job that's going to pay me enough to make sure I can pay my rent, maybe pay me a nice car note. I need a job that's going to at least pay me to live a basic life first. Then we could talk about other type of empowerment and moving up. Because if I can't see my next step because it's cloudy, I don't know where my next paycheck from. I don't care about what the next future is going to be. I'm hungry. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I look at it, and we have to create those systems.
You on the money. You on the money, and I had to. That type of thinking in 2014, I had to stop myself of thinking like that. Where's the next paycheck coming from? Because is the focus really the paycheck and paying bills? Is it really that? Is it that you was born in a country that your parents probably 9 out of 10 wasn't ready to financially raise you, that you have to find some kind of way to build a generational wealth is the term.
Yeah.
You know, because if we're going to talk about, well, look, I don't want to hear anything until I find a good job. How can I prepare myself now for my next child or for that next youth that is looking for a job? Because the way I look at it, if elementary, middle school, high school, the next seat level is open. So that means when you left middle school to high school, the seats will clear for the next person in high school. Now we're in this real world that if you work in a job, you're not really supposed to be at that job. That seat may be available for the next person. That's the way I'm looking at it right now from that perspective. Now, back in 2014, I got fired. When I got fired, I was with the company for 3 years, and I was like, know what? I'm going to be here for another 6 years. I already got my braces on. My braces off now, but it's like, yeah, I'm straight. I'm straight. You fired.
Wow.
It took me 30 minutes to get over that job, just to get over it, because I was like, I was shocked. And now it's like, do I go look for another job? No, I'm going to find some kind of way to become an entrepreneur. I didn't even know what entrepreneur meant at that time, but I was like, I'm going to do what it takes to get a job. To create a company, to just learn entrepreneurship, that ownership. So I've been an entrepreneur like 5 years now. And, you know, being in a family company, it was like, you could make your own decisions. I didn't know that. being your own boss in a way. But then as the challenge became like, how can I be able to communicate with a customer without calling a number to like a customer service number? I had to figure out how to communicate with a customer. So and I got my license in 2017. End of 2016, I got my real estate license. The test was hard. I encourage anybody to get your real estate license because it's definitely work that needs to be done. You're going to know somebody that's looking for a rental. You're going to know somebody is trying to sell their house. You're going to know somebody is trying to buy a house. So you could be that person to get your real estate license. And if you don't, hey, more business for me. If you don't want to get your real estate license, that's fine. You don't see yourself as a real estate agent, that's fine. But sometimes for me to promote that, what I know now at my age, I kind of wish I knew when I was in my early 20s. But, that's a wish. Yeah. I don't regret it, but, that's a wish,
So was real estate, is that the family business? You said you did a little bit of family business.
Yeah, that is the family startup business and then venture to other things. But upon speaking myself, real estate and, I'm thinking of my wife right now, but just picking up a part-time job. Now, the part-time does make sense. Before, I didn't see it. I was like, man, I got to work for somebody again. I got fired. I want to be entrepreneur full-time. But me of 2020, of before the whole Kobe, because Kobe was that got me this year. The COVID, yeah. Kobe and COVID got me this year. I was like, Kobe
Kobe was another one.
The emotions was like down
all over the place.
I know, right? Like, wow, So, I was doing some marketing strategy. So, marketing is real estate marketing, digital marketing, so advertisements, and the mobile home aspect. Going into mobile home, understanding that, I was like, you know what? Yeah, I need some investment. I need some money to fund my own business. So that's where I'm at right now. So, besides the whole family, is that the family business? It's just real estate, digital marketing, part-time job, and mobile homes.
Okay. So you said you do the real estate. You said mobile homes.
That's a whole different industry.
Are those similar? Because I've actually done some research into real estate. So I'm gonna ask you. I mean, into mobile homes, but I'm gonna ask you from your perspective. Are those, because they portray it as it's kind of like selling cars rather than actually selling homes, because it's just personal property like a car is. Is that because you're a realtor? So I want to know your perspective.
Yeah. So real estate is the estate of that piece of land. Okay. So the single family home commercial is attached to that land. Because they call it a mobile home, is right above. It's not attached. It's above the land. So that land underneath may be for rent, be leased by the community, the park community. So they have manufactured homes is another term, and modular homes is another term. There's some mobile homes that is above the land, but the land itself is owned by the mobile home owner, if that makes sense. Yeah. So yes, you could purchase a mobile home like purchasing a car, but it comes with other fees with that. So I don't want to make it sound like it's a lot, but it is affordable. I can tell you that.
Have you made any sales? Because the reason I'm asking is because real estate from what I understand, real estate is very lucrative, and it helps people, they say most millionaires or all millionaires have some type of real estate income. So, but mobile homes is supposedly like a lower barrier of entry. Would you say that with your experience, what you've done, it's been something like that? As far as mobile home compared to real estate investing?
Yeah. Well, I just want to clarify, mobile homes you have to be a dealer for that. So that's
you have to be a dealer to do mobile homes?
Yeah, you have to be a dealer. I dibble and dabble in it just a little bit, but I had to take 10 steps back, and I have to get licensed in that. Yeah, that's like I said, that's another beast.
Wow.
I want to say there's another beast. It's like,
that got me intrigued, man. That's why I was asking you questions. I said mobile home. I heard about that, so I've been looking into it a little bit. It's very intriguing. Yeah. So with this real estate stuff that you've been doing, and then you had to go back and get a job. to help you out, which is not a problem with that, because I feel like that is one of the way. Basically, your job is your funder for your business.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people always, when they're trying to start a business, or if somebody wants to be an entrepreneur, the first thing they want to do, the first thing you really need is money.
Yeah.
But they don't want to go get a job.
Did it freeze?
They don't want to go work for nobody.
Yeah.
Nah, it didn't freeze. They don't want to get a job. They don't want to go work for anybody. But that could be the person that's funding your dream. Yeah, you're working for them on their clock, and it's temporary. If you do what you have to do, save your money wisely, you're still working your side hustle, your real estate on the side. So this money can really help you fund your dream.
Correct.
So was that recently you said you got the job?
Yeah, and I would say April. I think I started in April.
Okay, so what led you to get this job? Was it because of the COVID and the COVID?
No, well, actually, I ran the numbers. The numbers of my business, it was like less than 1,000. I don't want to say the exact right now, but I ran the numbers for my business. I'm like, holy crap, you know, instead of taking out a loan, I was like, I need this. I need to fund my business. I need to find some kind of way I was reaching out to my homeboy. Hey, UPS open, FedEx open. Like, hey, should I work full time? I was going to go full time, but you know, thank God, you know, everything worked out just to pick up a part time job.
That's dope, man. I commend you for that, because sometimes people feel like they don't want to go back to work, man, and get that extra money.
Me.
But sometimes you can help. It can help you.
That was me. Hey,
it can help you. It can help you along the way.
It's not until you run the numbers, though. I mean, just last year, I had to really understand financing. Like, not financing, but finance. Looking at, okay, you know, when you're done pay all your bills, how much money do you have to yourself?
How much money do you really have to yourself?
How much money do you really?
When you're running a business, it's different. People think, oh, you done paying bills, I got all the money. No, how much money do you really have?
Yeah, facts.
There's those hidden costs in there.
Oh, man, who you telling?
There's definitely a learning curve, I would say, when you're running your business and you're getting all that money and it's coming in. You have to learn how to really handle it, you know, be responsible.
I think what woke me up last year was the spreadsheet of writing, like, okay, how much your phone bill, how much you spend on food, entertainment, like all that. And I was like, really? All right, cut out the entertainment, cut this out.
Exactly. When you start
shift
actually
the numbers
working your budget.
Yeah.
And I look at a budget, people look at a budget and they feel like, man, I'm not going to be able to do anything, man, when I have to do a budget. And a budget really isn't about not being able to. It's just about saying what you will be able to.
Facts.
So if you do it correctly, and I feel like playing a budget is like playing Monopoly, especially if you have a side hustle.
Yeah.
Because now you could at least say, I'm going to make an approximately this much every week, every 2 weeks, plus approximate this. And now you can say, okay, I might not be able to afford that now, but in 2 weeks, I can move this around, boom, 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 and I can get it.
Correct. That's where, this is where the podcast is. That's where my mind is at right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there is a but now, because when you do make it with those numbers, it's about sharing the information to others, help others, you know, and, you know, just saying that's where my heart is. It's not just making it. It's like close the door. You know, I want to open it. That's why I really like, this is a great brand. Believe in yourself. Give that information to the community. Let them know, hey, this is what is available.
Yeah, definitely. Right now, I'm actually working on a book to help people with that process of believing in themselves. It's not really a book, probably like a workbook type of thing.
Yeah.
Something like that. It's going to be coming out in the fall. So look out for it. But that's definitely important when you're starting your business. So for you, with learning all that stuff, I'm pretty sure you had a couple of bumping on your heads where you had to, you know, maybe
Facts.
you had a couple of overdrafts a couple of times. You know, we all have those things.
No,
I know
bro.
I had.
Oh,
or,
man.
I had a little problems
That's
with
years
those.
ago, man.
But
Try not to overdraft. Go ahead.
Was there ever a situation that got really tough and difficult for you and you felt like, you know what? Entrepreneurship really isn't for me. Maybe I do need to go back and get a job. Or was there a time that was just difficult for you to get over? And how did you get over it?
Yeah, definitely that thought does come to mind. It does come to mind a lot. But you keep on telling yourself you made it this far. You're going to just give up?
Yeah.
You know, you created all this, letting people know this is what you're going to do. And it's like, you're gonna stop right now?
Hey guys, what's up? It's Mr. Believe. And if you guys are enjoying these interviews on the podcast and you want to catch an interview live, go and follow me on Instagram at KevBE. That's at KEV as in Victor, B as in boy, IYI. And you can definitely catch one of these podcasts live and in color. See you soon.
I'd rather die trying. That's just me.
Yeah. Oh, man.
I'd rather just die trying. Like, hey, I fainted in the middle of the road.
And it's not even that I really want to die, but
Yeah.
I have this mentality like I would rather die knowing that I tried and didn't make it than to die knowing I never tried.
Correct.
So it's like,
That's correct.
how do you know that you're going to make it? Sometimes I ask myself that. It's like, man, how do I know I'm going to make it to where I see myself? Because I'm not saying, some people might feel like I'm doing good now. I'm not. I feel like I'm doing okay. But the place where I see myself, with my goal, like, how do I know I'm really going to get there? I believe it, but, you know, everybody doesn't attain those goals. Everybody doesn't make it. Just the reality of the situation. So a lot of people work really, really hard, and they really don't get there.
You got a good point. And I had to implement reading other podcasts, other perspectives.
To help you on
to
the journey,
help you
keep
along.
Exactly.
Because when you hear that story from somebody else of the 8 years of like sleeping on a couch, and they finally, it finally hit.
Mm-hmm.
When you hear that story of like, you know what, this is what I was feeling at this point. It just really keeps you pushing, and you're running your own race. Sometimes is I had to tell myself there's so many other real estate agents,
race.
There's so much other real estate agents, and I had to tell myself, Alex, keep yourself humble, communicate with this customer, get it to closing. I don't care what Sharon up the road doing. I don't care what this person's doing. That I have to focus on that deal and get it to closing. And I don't know if you play football, right?
Yeah.
You ever been on the offense side where you like scored a touchdown or something?
I've scored a touchdown, but I was on defense.
You pick up a fumble,
yeah,
or
I picked up a fumble, scored.
do you remember that
I
feeling?
remember it. I still remember to this day. Hey.
That feeling is like business. It's like when you finally hit that first dollar, and it's like, wow, can I do this again? Yes, you can. You did it. That's why you have to like appreciate the small achievements, and that's where, like you said, you have that far vision, but you have to pat yourself on your back for the small achievements.
And it's also just the journey. What you learn along the way.
Correct.
The person that you become in during that time is actually the part of the process that's really the best. Because once you get there, you're just gonna want something more again.
Correct.
And even more important that I think sometimes we overlook is your impact. Because like I said before, sometimes you might not make it there, but somebody's watching you and you're inspiring somebody else.
Facts.
Somebody's looking at you, have your perseverance. Maybe it's your child, maybe it's your brother, maybe it's your cousin, maybe it's a friend that's looking at you like, man, I never seen him give up, man, so I know I'm not going to give up.
Yeah.
I never seen him not do this, man, so I make sure I'm going to show up. So you don't know who you're impacting just by you doing your thing, and then that person may be the person that blows up and impacts another millions, and you're a part of that. But you just got to keep pushing to it. So what has been some of your biggest accomplishments?
Biggest accomplishments was definitely getting my real estate license, learning digital marketing, and getting married last year. You'd be surprised.
Woo, woo, woo. Married man, I give you a pound for that.
I had to fit that in because it's like
you have to.
It's not like wifey's like, hey, please, you better say this on air. No, it's more of it's a different type of focus, bro. I don't know.
Yeah,
Why no one couldn't tell a brother, hey, this is. I mean, they tell the negative side about marriage,
I would
but
agree.
But it's a different type of focus, a different type of support.
Yeah, it is, man. I can honestly agree with that sentiment. I feel like having a wife for a man is just like, it gives you like an anchor.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Especially if it's a supportive one. I don't know what it is not to have a supportive wife, because my wife is very supportive in a lot of things that I do. even though she doesn't want to do it half the time.
Times two now.
She gives me the opportunity to go and pursue what I want. That's great because it's like I have someone that's there when I go home. I can talk my nonsense when I'm feeling bad.
There you go.
Celebrate with, and it's good. And then you have a son that helps you out. Having a family is definitely great, man.
That's what's up.
What are some of the biggest lessons you've learned, though?
Biggest lessons to really just, I would say focus on myself or stay in the lane of the path, God has planned for me, So that's just really been, my attentions, day in, day out, really. Because it's really easy to get sidetracked. I mean, from these commercial advertisements, 50% off, go buy this. Hey, come check us over here. Come party over here. It's a lot of distractions going on. So it's like just staying very humble, knowing the purpose day in and day out, But still take time to look at what's going on in the world too now. COVID, I don't say that's a distraction. That's what's real. You have to be aware of what's going on.
Or else you're going to trip up and fall
of course.
on something. But I want to ask you this question because I've heard people say this before. I know for me what that means, but sometimes I want to ask people, just if you could take me a little bit deeper into, you said you want to make sure you're staying on the path. How do you know you're on the path? Because as an entrepreneur, a lot of times we're just starting something. We don't really know if this is what we're going to wind up doing. Because I can say, at least from my experience and talking to other people, the first thing you do as an entrepreneur, sometimes you might not do that. You might wind up doing something totally different. Correct. You might switch off into a whole new business.
Correct.
Just because of the opportunity may come. So for you, not saying that you're not, for you, how do you know when you feel like you're on the right path?
Passion has to be there, bro. Passion has to. You can't just be like, well, I'm going to just, I'm a hairstylist. I'm going to just do hair today. No, if you want to run a business and have, say 50 clients per week, you're looking at those numbers and it's like, okay, the business is going pretty well. This is what you wanted. Now, there's going to be more opportunities that will create more paths. But, I mean, when I got fired, what did I say? I want to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I got fired. I had nothing to my name. I had no license to my name. I had no job.
You got no job, man.
So when you create that next step is like, who has the rights to take that away from me? Who's going to take that away from me? It's going to be the person in the mirror. That's going to be me. So, hopefully that answers your question in the sense that, my drive is there. It's finally there. It wasn't there before.
Yeah.
And when I graduated from high school, I was not going to say I was going to be a real estate agent. It definitely just dropped.
Definitely when you have that feeling like you feel like what you're doing has a purpose.
Correct.
I would say, because at least that's my interpretation of what you said, because you have that passion for it. If you get up every day and you're like, oh, man, again, I'm not sure if that's really your path. If you get up in the morning and you're like, yo, what do I get to do today? Like, if you asking that question, what do I get to do today? You're probably on the right path. But if you wake up in the morning and you're
not
saying,
trying to judge. I'm not
what
trying
do
to
I
judge.
have to do today?
Yeah.
You might not be on the right path.
Yeah.
You might not. You know what I'm saying? You got to check yourself. You got to really be in tune with who you are. So how do you cope with stress? Because the right path doesn't mean that you're not going to have a bumpy road.
I agree. Exercise. I go for a walk. I put on those sneakers and shorts and T-shirt, go outside, because you definitely have to clear the mind. That word stress, it comes around. I try my best not to make it cliche in the circle of thinking, but it has to be like, okay, let's walk this out. Let's walk it out. So that's how I cope with it. And sometimes you have to do the woosah, the Martin woosah, like we gotta rub the ears because, bro, it far as the work is a lot of work, but you have to be in a position that you have to stay. You're the captain of that business. You're the CEO of.
Yeah.
I messaged somebody on Facebook some years back, and he took it and ran. But you are the CEO of your life.
There you go.
What is important, what needs to be done now. So if I'm reacting because I'm stressful, I'm having a bad day, and I go ahead and cuss some bad word to the next person, what kind of energy am I putting out there?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
gotta walk it off, man.
Definitely, that's definitely one of those things that entrepreneurs. Another thing that you have to manage, like you said, you CEO of your life. You know, Jay-Z has this line where he says, "I'm not a businessman, I'm a business man," meaning I'm the business. And when you're you have to manage your life and everything. Like when you have a job, not saying that you don't have things that's important, but you don't have to worry about payroll. You don't got to worry about vendors. You don't got to worry about deadlines, you know, unless your job entails that. But like certain managerial duties where you got to worry about multiple people, you don't have to worry about that. But as an entrepreneur, you're worrying about that and some.
Correct.
You still got rent. You still got your wife. You still got your kids. You still got your relationship with your mom. You still got all these other things.
Correct.
And those things can add stress. That's why it is important to have that getaway or that place that you can go. And like you, well, I'm a former athlete, so I like to move. And whenever I get a good sweat in, right now I'm doing kickboxing.
That's what's up.
So I'm not doing the walking thing. I want to start running. I keep saying it. Running's like my worst enemy. But I know if I do it, I feel great afterwards. But I hate running. But it's like a love-hate relationship.
You know I like running? You going the distance.
I mean, for me, it's always
that's
my
metaphor. You going the distance.
It always feels that way. It feels that way, but I feel great afterwards, and it's definitely a good mind release.
But you mentioned kickboxing, like you really punching and kicking that stress away.
Oh, trust me, I be kicking
you like
and hitting, man. If I could put holes in them things, I would. I'd be going ham, but I'll just be focused. It's not even for any particular reason, like I'm mad or anything. I just, because I'm an athlete, I like to go hard. I'm used to that competitive. So if somebody's next to me, I'm looking at how they doing it, trying to do it a little bit faster, a little bit better technique. I just like that. You know, I never liked the weight room aspect of being an athlete. I like the being in practice, racing and competing and making tackles. That's what I like. So that definitely helps me clear the stress. So what is your 5-year plan for your real estate? Obviously, it's not to keep working because you just forced yourself to get that. So I'm pretty sure you're going to be off the job. So once you get done with that capital raising, let's call it capital funding, you're raising capital right now. So once you're done raising capital, what's your plan for the real estate?
Definitely be able to grow a team of people that want to become entrepreneurs, that want to take the business seriously. So just sharing the knowledge of what I know. Also, I look forward to investing too. I want to invest in some properties and some condos, rent them out. So that's part of the 5-year plan. And also I'm looking to venture in other businesses and just get the proper license for them and run it correctly. So I already mentioned mobile homes, digital marketing, things like that. I want to get those businesses running the way it needs to run. So I'll be straight. You know, I won't say I'm cruising, but I'm gliding through what needs to get done day in, day out.
You're fitting in right now. You're finding you're getting in pocket, like some people say. You're getting right.
Yeah.
So when you first started, are there any mistakes that you would say that you made?
A lot.
But mistakes sometimes teach you something that you probably would not have learned otherwise.
That is correct.
Sometimes people have to, put their hand on the fire to know it's hot.
That's pretty extreme, though.
I mean, some people do. Sometimes people, I know, for me, I'm the type of person, if you're not going to show me directly, I don't want you to just tell me. I'd rather just go do it, mess up, and then figure it out. If you're not going to show me, all right, forget it. Let me go figure it out. Let me learn. And by me messing up, I'll know, okay, I can't do it that way. I would rather, for me, even though that's kind of frustrating, I like learning that way. So when I say mistakes, I'm talking about those mistakes that are kind of like using a bad vendor or something like that. Like
correct,
you could have gone with a better vendor.
Yeah, that's
or maybe I don't know. There's sometimes those mistakes that you just feel like I could have avoided that.
No, I agree.
Because sometimes somebody might need to know that, like, you don't need to worry about this. Just get this right. You don't got to worry about it. Like, I'll give you an example. This one guy who always asks me about starting his cleaning business. And he has a name and he has a business. And I'm not telling anybody to do this, because if you don't do it the right way, you're going to get in trouble. So this is my views, not the views of UFI Radio. But he has a business name and it's in New York, but he's having some tax problems or whatever, things like that. So he's like, man, I want to do my business, but I got issues up there in New York. Da, da, da. And I'm like, yo, man, just start going to businesses and asking people if they need work. Yeah, but I don't got all my paperwork. Like, dude, just do that. Just go. Like, sometimes people don't even ask you for your paperwork right away. And if they do, tell them you don't got it right now.
Correct.
But some people would just take the work, and you could use that money that you make to then get your paperwork right and then start your business. So that could be like a mistake where you may have waited too long or something like that. Do you have anything like that?
The mistake, being a professional in real estate, you kind of have to like either communicate with your broker, because customers really don't like mistakes. So, but as an entrepreneur, there's a lot of mistakes behind the scene. But when you live, like right now, hey, this is my first podcast. I mean, there's no stuttering when I'm talking. You have to deliver, and
you can stutter.
You can stutter.
Yeah, ain't nobody gonna say that to you.
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
No, but there's definitely mistakes I had to overcome, and one of them probably was just either understanding the contract verbiage to the customer, or
Hey, it's Mr. Believe, and I'm here to tell you about Titan Protective Services, where they protect what matters most to you. Titan Protective Services provides innovative security solutions for apartment complexes, rental properties, and condominiums. We believe that as a family-run company, we are here to make sure your property is taken care of and protected from vandalism, theft, and destruction. Contact us today for your security needs. Visit www.titanproserv.com today or call us at 844-39-TITAN. That's 844-39-TITAN.
Because if the customer may not read that contract, and it's like you have to say exactly what's on the contract. But if I do make a mistake, I apologize. I own up to that mistake. That's all I could really think of. I really don't regret the mistakes. Like you say, if you do make a mistake, you learn from it, and you kind of like bounce back. It's not the end of the world, for me.
Yeah, those are some good lessons you learned. Definitely making the mistake of not really understanding the verbiage on the contract will come back and bite you in the butt sometimes.
Yeah.
So just cross your eyes, dot your I's, cross your T's when you're doing all those type of things. So what other tips do you have for any aspiring entrepreneurs out there that's thinking about getting into, or just thinking about being an entrepreneur, not even just real estate, just thinking about doing their own thing in general?
Well, if it's in general, definitely just start. Like you said, just really start. Learn how to create the LLC, man. Like create that bank account, because once you jump out there, you want to know that your accounts are set up. Make sure you're like you read up on the laws if there's any laws in your business. So that's already 2 tips there: starting and knowing the laws. What's another one? There's a lot of ideas that come up, and sometimes I've been saying it to myself recently, but the amount of money you have kind of match with the idea you want to push, if that makes sense. So if there's an idea to build an IT and build a website, and it costs you $6,000, but I have $500 in my bank, that idea has to sit still. I won't be able to work on that right now. So what can I be able to do right now? This is my 3rd tip. What can I be able to do right now because I don't have that kind of finance to just work what I have? So that's 3. 4 will be read. Get different perspectives. Listen to podcasts. Get different perspective. And I say it this way because I always hear, I won't even say entrepreneur, but people want to start something and they go off of their perspective of what they know so far. And it's like, okay, but we're taking advices from each other and we don't know much about how to run this business. Get different perspectives. Listen to other people that are doing it out there. And number 5, is, as an entrepreneur, read between the lines of, like, yes, I was talking about real estate, but imagine real estate was just like a blank. Just you fitting your business. If I say I'm doing great, I've been an entrepreneur of real estate 5 years, fit your business like, man, what does it feel like to be 5 years doing what you're doing? So just really focus on your drive, your project, and yeah, that's the 5 tips, man. That's what I got.
Those are some good tips right there, man.
Yeah.
I hope everybody had a pen and paper, and if you don't, make sure you watch the playback. Go to Facebook to Your Vibe Radio, and you can watch this playback. You can watch this live if you're listening to it on the radio, and you can watch this back. Now we're going to get into the Golden Nugget segment before we go into the this or that segment. So I invite anybody who has questions for Alex. You can call us at 305-454-1531. That's 305-454-1531. And once again, you're listening to us on yourviberadio.com. So you can also listen to us on the web, on your browser, on your phone, or on your laptop or your computer. Anything, one of those things that you can do like that. So the Golden Nugget, which is brought to us and sponsored by Titan Protective Services. It is: the best way to have confidence is not to allow everyone else's insecurities to be your own.
Facts.
I'm going to repeat that for those that probably went over your head. The best way to have confidence is not to allow everyone else's insecurities to be your own. Break that down just a little bit. When people are in this world and whatever perspective they're speaking from their eyes, so to speak, from their vision. Yep. If we all had to wear goggles, they're looking through their glasses. So although they're looking at you, they're seeing their life. So the things that you may be lacking at that annoy them are actually things that they are struggling with. That's why it's so clear for them to see it in you. Now, that doesn't mean that you may not have those traits, and you might need to work on those things too, but you cannot allow that person's insecurities of what they see and what they need to work on in their life be what you take on to yours. So you have to be very careful about who you listen to and who gives you criticism and who you allow to be in your corner, in your circle, because that's going to be an important part to your success. So I'm going to just read that Golden Nugget, which was sponsored by Titan Protective Services, one more time. The best way to have confidence is not to allow everyone else's insecurities to be your own. Now, if you want to join the Believe in Yourself community, you're going to text BIY to 31996. That's BIY to 31996. And also, you want to listen to this podcast, you can catch us on Google Podcasts, Anchor Podcasts, Spotify, and many other podcast platforms out there, wherever you consume podcasts. And now let's get back to our interview with Mr. Alex.
All right.
So now we're going into the this or that segment. Trying to figure out a little bit about, what's going on in your head.
This and that. Got it.
So, which one would you prefer? Audiobooks or podcasts?
Audiobooks. You have to say why? I have to say why too?
No, you don't have to say why. But
okay.
You do have to suggest some podcasts for our listeners,
Yeah.
If you're listening to something like, what's something that inspire you or get you going?
Oh, well, definitely Believe in Yourself. I was definitely,
whoop.
Yeah. I have to, it's not being biased or anything. I was listening to some of your pre-recordings on Facebook, and you definitely are in the community. And because I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking before I speak. And as far as being an entrepreneur, your community has to be around of what you like. I mean, that's how we have Facebook groups and likes and like pages and stuff, because you like it. This movement, the Believe in Yourself, it's right. It aligns right with my vision.
There we go.
Yeah.
Believe in yourself. You guys heard it first. Go and download it on whatever platform you listen to podcasts. Definitely download Your Vibe Radio. They have an app. It's yourviberadio.net/s/yourviberadio if you want to listen to us there.
Now the audiobooks, you're most time people don't have time to read. So
That's true.
I just want to throw it. If you're picking my brain, bro, that is
For me.
I mean,
I'm the same way. I like to listen. Sometimes I'll get the Kindle version and look at the audiobook while I'm listening to it. That kind of helps me get through it. But I do prefer podcasts. I listen to, of course, mine, Shameless Goats, and Brother Ben X has a good podcast, and a couple other people. But, that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
But which app do you prefer, Facebook or Instagram? We was just streaming live on both of them. Which one do you like?
Facebook.
Definitely Facebook. I could say I like Facebook as well, but I prefer Instagram only because it's easier to use.
It's easy to use?
Yeah, man. It's not all these different rooms and different things you got to choose.
All right, that's a good point.
I'm getting used to it. I'm working with it. Don't kick me off Facebook. I like you guys too, a little bit. So you did say that you're a DJ, so there's no music that I can ask you that you can't say you don't know nothing about.
I play everything. I really play everything.
Okay.
And I mean, if it was without the DJing, I have to go with Outkast. The Quimmy Gemini.
Criminal Gemini, yeah.
What's that album?
But I didn't even ask you a question.
Oh,
Why are you
Lord.
saying Outkast?
I'm just throwing names out.
Yeah, you just throwing names out there. I didn't even ask you about
I was
Outkast.
like, okay, you didn't, huh?
I didn't ask you anything about Outkast.
I do apologize. I jump ahead on that one.
So,
see, I own up.
Okay.
That was a mistake.
So I'm going to ask you a music question. Which artist do you prefer or like better? Mr. Biggie Smalls or Tupac? Since that's one of the debates.
Oh man, come on, really?
Who do you like better?
You can't choose both.
You can't choose both. I want to see you're a music guy.
Oh man,
which one would you prefer?
I would have to say both, man. I mean, the
right.
Machiavelli is run through my mind right now, and the Biggie one, is it Life After Death or something like that? What's that album?
Yeah, he had like maybe 2 albums.
Yeah.
That's why I would say Tupac, because Biggie, he didn't really have enough time. Even though his stuff was good, he didn't really have enough time to really, I mean.
That's a good way to look at it.
There's no way to really know. His trajectory was great. It was awesome. But there's a lot of people who have a great trajectory, But I like Tupac because of his impact.
It was bipolar impact, by the way. It was like love and hate.
I mean,
it was definitely love and hate.
Growing up the way he did, with the gang culture, your mom was a Black Panther, all that kind of stuff, like, you probably would be crazy too. So this next one is a sports question, since you played a little defensive back in high school.
All right.
I'm going to ask you about these two DBs. Who would you prefer on your team? Now, these two guys, back in the late 90s, early 2000s, were, I believe, tops of their games. Champ Bailey and Rod Woodson. No, Charles Woodson.
Charles Woodson.
All right,
Champ Bailey and
Charles Woodson.
Boy, that's a good one. But I have to go with Champ Bailey.
Ooh, that's a good one, man. A lot of people, he's not that talked about anymore,
Yeah.
I feel like he's overlooked from his prime. That dude was one of the best.
The best. Definitely the best.
Definitely.
Would that be your choice? That was a good question. Or Charles Woodson?
I would have gone Champ Bailey.
Yeah, Champ Bailey.
Even though Charles Woodson did win a Heisman in college and all that stuff, he was a good athlete. But I like Champ Bailey a little bit more.
Yeah.
I don't know, a little bit more.
Yeah.
But this last question is a debate that I have with myself every single time I go to the grocery store.
Really?
Yeah, man, I can't help it. Right now, I have one of them in my freezer. I have that problem. I put my stuff in the freezer. But I'm going to ask you, I don't think there's a wrong or right answer. Which would you prefer? Chocolate chip cookies or Oreos?
Chocolate chip.
Chocolate chip cookies? What kind?
You got me on that one. I don't have a kind, but definitely chocolate chip.
Okay. I like the ones from Costco, home baked cookies. Those kinds are the good. So if you do want to buy me some cookies, you get me the ones from Costco, or you give me some Oreos, or you can just bake some at home. You can send them to Your Vibe Radio, and they'll take it from us. But we had a great show, man. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for everybody who's been on here. And before we go, I just want to say that you guys have been listening to
YourVibeRadio.com.
And you can call us next time on the show at 305-454-1531. You can listen to us online at
yourviberadio.com
and follow us on Facebook as well. And next, if you want to join the Believe in Yourself community, that's right, we have a community where we give away gifts, prizes, discounts, special offers. You don't want to miss out joining in on this community. You just need to text 3 simple letters. That's BIY. BIY to 31996. Also, if you want to hear any of our past episodes or past recordings, you can go and follow us on Facebook at yourviberadio.com. You can watch our past videos there, as well as listening to us on Google Podcasts, Anchor Podcasts, and Spotify. And lastly, once again, our golden nugget today, that which was sponsored by Titan Protective Services, was the best way to have confidence is not to allow anyone else's insecurities to be your own. Thank you guys for listening to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Before we go, I want to say to Mr. Alex, thank you for coming on the show, brother.
No,
I appreciate it. We had a great conversation. We talked about everything from this hot ass weather out here and your sweaty nose down to, believing in yourself.
You remember that. Good memory.
So, man, I just want to say thank you, man, for doing everything that you do. You may not know it, but you're inspiring and an inspiration to the community. You're definitely an example for people to look up to, somebody who's doing their own thing and doing it their way, and actually being an example for people to see. All of us out here, even though we don't make it to the NFL, we can have careers outside of football, outside of sports.
That's a great topic.
And be great members of society that contribute in positive ways and be very great male role models. We don't all go to jail and, wind up doing bad things. So I thank you for being that type of example as well, because we need to see more of that in our community. And if anybody needs to get in contact with you, if they're looking for any type of houses or places to stay, how can they get in contact with you?
They could just call me direct. My cell phone number is 754-234-1772. Just straight to the point. If we're going to talk about real estate, what is the purpose and how can I be able to help? I do have an Instagram, which I don't really promote real estate on there, but I'll still share it. Is BUJO101. On Facebook, you could just type in Alex Blucher. I have 2 Facebook profiles, but you just click on the one that's talk about recently, because I did share this video on here. Okay. So, I look forward. If don't be shy, just call me direct, and we'll just take it from there.
Well, thank you guys, and just remember, you are listening to
yourviberadio.com,
and we'll catch you guys next week.
This show was brought to you by Believe in Yourself. Don't forget to visit IBelieveInMeInc.com. That's IBelieveInMeInc.com for all your BIY swag. That's I Believe in Me Inc. for all your BIY swag. And we'll see you on the next episode.